ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome back. 18th chapter, session 2, the commentary of Sripad Ramanujacharya along with the summary verse of Yamunacharya. So, as usual, we'll start with the summary verse for the 18th chapter. Yamunacharya says, Ishware kartrita buddhi sattvopadeyata antime swakarma parinamascha shastra sarata uchyate. He says in this 18th chapter, there are 4 topics that Krishna is speaking on. First is, he says that Bhagavan is the real doer. The Lord is the doer. That is the first topic he says. Second is, one should be situated in Sattva-guna as far as possible. Third thing he says is, how Karma Yoga ultimately, from Swakarma, ultimately you go towards Mukti. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, how you go to Mukti from Karma Yoga. And fourth is the essence of the scripture, which is 18.66. So in this way, he has summarized beautifully. And we are currently in the first topic, that is how Krishna is the real doer. Okay. So as we discussed last time, the chapter opens with Arjuna asking the difference between Tyaga and Sannyas, right? That's what Arjuna is asking. What is the difference between Tyaga and Sannyas? And Krishna answers very beautifully, emphasizing on what he has always been saying. Essentially, Krishna's point always has been that Krishna encourages Tyaga, not that official sannyas, but at the same time, Krishna always has maintained that Tyaga and sannyas are non-different. So if you remember 6th chapter, 1st verse also, Krishna has said that Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakriyara. That means one who is anashrita, he only is a sannyasi, indicating that the Tyagi only is sannyasi. There is nothing, so Krishna doesn't distinguish so much between these two things, Tyaga and Sannyas. He has made this point always very clear. And Ramanujacharya beautifully, he speaks about 3 types of Tyaga, right, which we have elaborated last time. But in fact, that is the theme today as well. So I'll just recap that. So he talks about, Ramanujacharya talks about 3 Tyagas, Trivida Tyaga. The first Tyaga is Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga. Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga means I am not the doer. Krishna is the doer. So that is going to come now in this chapter also. Krishna has said that many times in the past also. So first is that. Like that means we are supposed to see ourselves as an instrument of God, which Krishna has said before also, but he's going to say again in this chapter. That is the first Tyaga, Kartritva Buddhi. That means don't think yourself to be the doer. First thing. Second thing is Mamata Tyaga, Nirmama, which Krishna has said many times in the Bhagavad Gita. Nirmama means this action is for the Lord's pleasure. That means I am not doing something for my pleasure. The action itself. We are not talking about the result. the action itself is for the Lord's pleasure. That is called mamata tyagam. Mama, I mean, it's not for me, it is for the Lord. And third is phalatyagam, which Krishna has again spoken several times in the Gita, that the fruits are not for me, it is to be offered to them. So three types of tyaga. Okay, so Ramanujacharya's point has been that if anybody does all these three types of tyaga, kartritva buddhi tyaga, mamata tyaga, and phalatyaga, then such a person gets mukti, and I mean he's perfectly situated. So this has been his point throughout in this 18th chapter. Okay, now at this point somebody will ask a question. Because see, his whole point, Ramanujacharya's whole point in the commentary and based on the verses of the Gita, or even what Krishna is directly saying is, if you do anything in this mood, then the karma will not bind you. That's the point. That means action will not bind you if you are doing it with the three tyagas. But if you don't have the three tyagas, you get bound. So question is raised here, but if you touch fire, you will get burnt only, na? How is it that if you touch fire, you will not get burnt? If you throw seed in the ground, it will sprout only. Similarly, if suppose somebody does one yajna, and let us say the follow of the yajna, which is generally there, is to take you to heaven. So even if you don't want heaven, because the follow of the yajna is to take you to heaven, you will go to heaven only. Where is the question? So he starts. So this is the point that the commentators start here to analyze this. And it is in this background that we are going to see this particular verse. We are going to start today's discussion with the 12th verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Look at the verse. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividam karmana phalam bhavatyattyaginam pretya natu sanyasinam kvachit. The three kinds of reward of karma, the undesirable like attaining hell, anishtam. Ishtam, the desirable like heaven, mishram, and the mixed results like cows, progeny, etc., which cause both happiness and sorrow, accrues once the karma is completed to those who have not done the threefold renunciation, whereas for those who have performed the karma with the renunciation, these three types of rewards of karma do not accrue to them. Okay, so Krishna is anticipating this question and he's putting this. So actually, if you see, whenever you read any Shastra, most commentators, what they do, they make it in a question answer format. Because based on the previous verse, a question is supposed to come in mind. Because till now, we were discussing in the 18th chapter that if you do it in the three types of tyaga, then you will not get bound. And somebody will say, how can you say that? Because if I do an action, that result will come only. Just like in the world, if I touch fire, my hand is going to get burned. It's not that if I touch fire thinking that, oh, I'm doing it for Krishna or something, then it will not burn me. So then how can you say that, so if suppose somebody does a yaga like Jyotishtoma sacrifice, right, which gives you, with the benediction of the sacrifice is to send you to heaven. So whether you want heaven or no, you'll go to heaven. No. So Krishna is making that point here. Okay, and that's what we're going to start our discussion. See what Krishna is saying here. There are three types of rewards of karma. One is undesirable, going to hell. Second is going to heaven. And Mishram means mixed. That means staying on earth. That is why he has given examples like having cows, having children, etc. in this world. Because in this world, having cow means again, you have to maintain the cow will kick you, all that is there. So it's a very sattvic example of how in this world, anything you do is going to invite some trouble also, like that. Progeny, children. So when as children, then we all know that children give pleasure also, but they give various sorrow as well. So Krishna's point is that these three types of karma comes to whom? To one who is atyagi. Atyagi means what? Who has not done the tyaga. And what is tyaga? We have already given a very elaborate description to tyaga. Three types of tyaga we have discussed, not one. Okay, so Krishna is very clearly saying if somebody is not doing the tyaga internally, then he has to get all this. But the one who has actually renounced, okay, so here what's happening is Krishna is saying, see how Krishna is beautifully forming the sentence. In this sentence, another thing becomes very clear that tyagi and sannyasi is the same thing. Because Krishna is saying if you have not done the threefold tyaga, then you will get the result. And on the other hand, if you are sannyasi, so here then it's not the formal sannyasi he's talking about. By and large, he's just talking about the renounced spirit, the spirit of tyaga, right? If you have that, Then na kvachitu. Na kvachitu in Sanskrit clearly means that the three types of karma will not affect you. Okay, so thus it is very clear that if you do the, so if you remember last time we discussed this in great detail, right? There is nitya karma, there is naimittika karma, and there is kamya karma. Three types of things. So everybody has all these things to do: nitya karma, naimittika karma, and kamya karma. So Krishna's perspective is that you do all these, but without desire for, with the tyaga bhava. If you do that, then nothing will bind you, and in this way you will always be free, and you can go towards moksha. So this is the whole point of the Bhagavad Gita. Very beautiful point. Right. So Ramanuja, what he does is he starts his commentary by talking about a concept in Mimamsa Shastra called Viniyoga Prataktva Nyaya. Viniyoga Prataktva Nyaya means, so there are different types of Nyaya or logic. So Viniyoga Prataktva Nyaya, what it says is that the same action can give you multiple fruits. Okay, so for example, let's take the example of Jyotishtoma Yajna. It's a very famous yajna in the Vedas. So Jyotishtoma Yajna itself, it is said that same yajna can either give you heaven, it can destroy your sins, or it can give you a child or some specific desire that you have. And there are different verses in the Vedas which glorify Jyotishtoma Yajna with a different fruit. For example, in one place the Veda says, Jyotishtoma Swarga Kama Yajeta. Somebody does a Jyotishtoma sacrifice, he'll go to heaven. Another place it says Vasante Jyotisha Ejeta. Every Vasanta Ritu, every year during the autumn, one must do Jyotistoma sacrifice to clean one's sins as a regular thing. And another place the Vedas say Ekaki Kasmin Kamaya Anya Sarvebhyo Jyotistoma Ejeta. If you have a specific desire, you can do Jyotistoma to fulfill that specific desire. Like somebody wants a child, he can do a Jyotistoma Yajna to get the child. So this is called in Mimamsa Viniyoga Prataktva Nyaya. That means action is the same, Jyotishtoma Yajna, but depending on why you are doing it, one may get a different fruit. Either one goes to Sarga, or it is done for general destroying sins, or it is for a particular child. And I think we can see this in a mundane example also. Just like, there are many people who we see that they work with different motives. But there are many people who take up a job primarily because they want money. But there are many people we see also, like we see, I mean, we see that they are actually already retired and everything, but still they want to continue the job. Now it's not because of money. Maybe just they want power. They just want to keep themselves engaged, or they just like to do it, so they are doing it. So motivation to do action, even in this world we see, is different. So obviously at a younger age, everybody works for money, we may say, but you will see that, many people, even at 70, 75, they are working, and they are actually not working for money. It is very clear. They are also very clear. It's not for the money they are working. They are working either because they just like to do so much they do, or they just don't know what to do with their time, or they are so expert at it, their organization doesn't want to let them go. There could be several reasons why they are working. Okay, but it is not always because of the money only that they are working. So the mundane example, but it serves to say the same point that Krishna is saying in this verse, that depending on your motive, the purpose of your action can actually become different. Okay, thus from this verse we understand this point that if you have tyaga bhava when you do work, again remember three types of tyaga, which we have always been talking about: Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga, Mamata Tyaga, and Phala Tyaga. I'm not the doer. The action is not for me. It is for Krishna's pleasure. And the fruit is not for me. Right? These two. Like that. So now what will happen is, now onwards, in the next few verses, Krishna beautifully presents Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga. Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga means how to understand that you are not the doer. So somebody will say, I'm only the doer now. What do you mean I'm not the doer? The action is for Krishna's pleasure. So Ramanujacharya gives an example. He says, just like, so how can you say that bathing daily, brushing the teeth, all these things are also for the Lord's pleasure? How is he going to be pleased if you take a bath or you brush your teeth? So he gives a very nice example. He says, just like a king has a lot of birds. Okay. So what the king does is he likes birds, so he has kept a lot of birds. So he has kept a servant who has to daily keep the cage of the birds very clean, feed the birds, ensure that the birds don't have any disease, give them medical treatment. All this the servant is supposed to do. Now, if you ask the question, the servant is doing this for whose pleasure? Is it for the pleasure of the birds or is it for the pleasure of the king? The answer is very simple. It is for the king's pleasure only that he is doing. Though the servant is serving the birds, the goal is not for the pleasure of the birds. The goal is so that the king is pleased. Okay, so it's an example to say that the Lord is the king who owns everything, including our bodies and our everything. And we are like his servant. We are doing all this for his pleasure. Okay, because the body is also his. So we say that, okay, I should keep it clean because it is a Lord's form. It's a Lord's body. As in, our body is also part of the material energy, which is the Lord's only. Okay, so it's a beautiful example. Please think about it deeply. Yeah? So the servant is cleaning the cage of the bird, ensuring that there is no stool stuck here and there, ensuring that the birds have food properly, n number of times a day. All this is doing for the birds, but not for the birds' pleasure. It is for the king's pleasure that he is doing. Similarly, he says we should do everything to this body, right from ensuring that we have enough sleep, we brush our teeth properly, everything is done as because it is his property. Kartaritva buddhi tyagam. That means I am not anything. It is all his only. Like that, in that mood. Right? So, anyway, this is the example that he says. Okay. Then somebody, then now, so now what happens, Krishna is going to speak in great detail about this. What Krishna is going to do in the next few verses is Krishna is going to give 5 factors of action. Right? We all know these verses from the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is saying there are 5 causes of action for anything. And we know in the 5 causes, one is Paramatma, and there are other 4. The body, the jiva, the senses, and endeavor, like that. There are total 5 factors. So somebody, if you look at this verse, then you may say, that means I am also the cause of something. How can I say that only? See, because Kartritva Buddhi Tyagam means what? Don't think you are the doer, Lord is the doer. Then the question arises, if Lord only is the doer, then am I not anything? Because I am also a doer, na? Among the 5, I am also there. So how can you say only Lord is the doer? So again, he gives a nice example. He says, see, it's like this. Suppose there is a chariot. And the chariot is being pulled by the king and 4 of his servants. Okay, so there is a chariot in a temple, which sometimes, in traditional temples, if you see, the Lord comes on a chariot and is taken around in the village or something for a stroll. And sometimes the king only comes to pull the chariot. And along with the king, there are 4 servants also who are assisting him in pulling the chariot. Okay, so the chariot is being pulled. Now, if you ask the question, who pulled the chariot? I mean, we all know that people will say, king only pulled the chariot. Somebody will say, but those 4 servants are also there, na Baba, why are you not referring to them? Answer is, well, I mean, see, they are all subordinate to the king. Okay, so it's a very well-known fact, right? Like, for example, a prime minister inaugurates a temple or something. There are so many people with him who are also part of the inauguration. But still, we say that the prime minister only inaugurated. We don't say that, the prime minister accompanied by so many blah, blah, blah. All these fellows were also standing. The police officer, everybody was standing there. Right? Like, so we give the whole credit to the most important person over there. Correct? So similarly, the chariot being pulled, the king is pulling and 4 servants are pulling. But the credit goes to the king only. The news in the town is that the king is pulling the chariot. Nobody says the 4 servants were pulling. So similarly, he says, though there are 5 causes of action, the king in that is Paramatma. Other 4 are all his servants only. So that is why even if you are one of the 5, still maximum credit goes to him only. So in this way, one has to cultivate Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga. Correct. So because we are saying Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga, somebody will ask, how can you say that I am not the doer? So that is why all these beautiful verses are going to come up in the Bhagavad Gita. Right. Let's go into them and see it in detail. 13th verse. पंचेतानि महाबाहो कारणानि निबोध मे सांख्ये कृतान्ते प्रोक्तानि सिद्धये सर्वकर्मणा. Hey, mighty armed Arjuna, in the Vedic doctrine which deals with the knowledge of the Jivatma, it is explained that there are these 5 factors which are involved for performing any action. Learn about these in detail from me. Okay. So Krishna is saying that there are 5 factors which are spoken in Sankhya. Okay, so he says the Sankhya is not the atheistic Kapila Sankhya, but the Sankhya means here Jnana Yoga. That means what comes from the Veda. Okay, so in the Vedas there is a Jnana part section in which all this has been discussed. And in that section, 5 factors are spoken about as responsible for any action. Okay, so what are the 5 factors? That's going to be illustrated in verse number 14. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pratakvidam vividascha pratak cheshta devam chaivatra pancham. Okay, the body that is controlled by the jivatma, adhisthana, the individual self who is the doer, the 5 different organs of action together with the mind, the vital air which gets diversified into 5 kinds, the prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana, which are responsible for various bodily functions. And the 5th, most important one being the Supreme Self, Bhagavan, who is the indweller and inner controller. Okay, only 5 factors are listed. What they are doing is going to be said in the next verse. But anyway, let's look at this verse, 14th verse, very important verse in the Gita. Right, 5 factors have been spoken here. So what are the 5 factors? So let's go into the Sanskrit. First is Adhishthanam. Adhishthanam means what? Adhisthana in Sanskrit means one who is controlled. So the question is, everybody, even so, Adhishthanam in one sense could refer to Jivatma also. Because Jivatma is also controlled by Paramatma. But all commentators and translators, what they have done, they have translated Adhisthana as the body. Because Jivatma is already covered later, na? The next thing, Karta is there. Karta is Jivatma. So then we can't, so the body is controlled by Jivatma, Jivatma is controlled by Paramatma. So here only Adhisthana is said, that means the one who is controlled. So it could mean anything, but still all commentators have always given this as the body only. In Prabhupada's translation, if you see, it's all the same. The translation is fine as the same here. So first cause is the body. Second is the Karta. So why Karta? Because Karta is the Atma. He is the fellow who has knowledge, he has desires, he initiates action. 3 things. Knowledge, desire, and initiator of actions is Jiva. So that is why Karta. Second. Third is Karanam. So Karanam here, what he has done is, he has said that Karanam refers only to the, generally Karanam means 11 senses, 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas in the mind. But here he says it is only the Karmendriya and the mind. Because Jnanendriyas are knowledge acquiring. So that is kind of in some sense included in the Karta part. Okay. And see, this is now very interesting. Cheshta. Cheshta, like Prabhupada translates there as endeavor. He has given here a slightly different translation. He has said Cheshta means the 5 kind of vayus that are circulating in our body. The prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. Why he says that? Because these 5 only make you do things. Okay, it is only because of these 5 vayus that one is pushed to work in different ways. Okay, so and then Daivam is translated here as Bhagavan, Paramatma, like that only is translated. So he's asking a question here in the commentary. Why do you need to say 5th? Like here Krishna says, na Panchamam Daivam, 5th. Why you have to say like that? Suppose you have to say, Dasharath Maharaj had 4 sons. We don't say Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and 4th Shatrughan. We generally don't say that. We may just say, like, because in the previous verse it was already said that there are 5 causes of actions. Correct? So when you have already said that there are 5 causes of action, you can just say all the 5. Why say Panchamam? The 5th one is Deva, like that. Why to say that? He's raising a question, and then he answers it by saying 2, 3 reasons. He says the first is to make a point that nothing beyond these 5 are responsible for anything. Okay, so Panchamam, that means it's like a full stop. That's it. Just 5 are there. It's your body, yourself, the Atma, your senses, the endeavor you have done, and ultimately the 5th super soul. It is to indicate a completeness, that it's all done now, just 5 are there, nothing more than this, nothing less, like that. So that's one reason he says why Panchamam word is used. Another thing is in order to make it clear that Paramatma is making it Purti. Purti means he is completing. That means the other four are okay, but it is a Paramatma who is completing this entire thing. And that is why Panchamam is being referred to Paramatma to indicate that he is the most important person here. Okay. In fact, Prabhupada's commentary in Bhagavad Gita as it is very similar to this one, as in he's taken this point only that because Ramanujara emphasizes a lot on this, that Paramatma is the ultimate cause, is the most important among all these five. Like others are there, certainly, but he is most important. And what is the Paramatma doing? He is Udasina, he is sitting neutral. He doesn't object to anything that we do, but without his permission, nothing can happen. Hence, he is considered most important. He is considered most important. Why? Because without his permission, this Jivatma cannot do anything. His sanction is needed. We have seen all that previously, right, in the Gita. Without his sanction, this fellow cannot do anything. That is why he is considered the most important among all the five. And this is how, understanding this knowledge, you can have Kartrutva Buddhi Tyaga. That I am not the doer. Okay, he is the main person because of which everything is happening. Correct. So Kartrutva Buddhi Tyaga is not based on just an emotion. It is based on a reality as well. Where you understand that anything you are doing with your body, it is ultimately by his sanction and his permission only that we are doing. So basically, we understand that I am not the doer. So whatever wonderful things also we are able to do, everything is due to him. Like that is the mood. Okay. So and then yeah. Okay. So that is the part of this verse. Now let's go ahead. Actually, so this verse doesn't complete. 14th verse is kind of only the five things are illustrated. So the next verse completes this topic. Shariravan manoberi karma prarabate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchayate tasya hetava. For all karmas, whether sanctioned by Shastra, nyayam, or prohibited by Shastra, when a person begins to perform them through his body, words, or mind, the above five are causes through which the karma are performed. Okay, so anything, whether you are doing Shastra karma or when you are doing Ashastra karma, these five only are actually ensuring that everything is there. So he's asking a question here. But then why is the Lord ensuring that why is the Lord permitting you to do wrong action also? So for that, he gives an example. He says, hey, look, Lord is not like a person who is herding goats. You've seen, right? In a village, person is herding goats. Then the goats have to walk in one line. If one goat also goes away from the line and starts going in some other direction, immediately that person, what he will do, he will start pushing that goat in line, correct? That's what the shepherd does. He ensures that all goats walk in one line. Nobody can go left or right anywhere. So he says the Lord is not like that. So he is allowing you to do. Because then you are not giving any independence. Correct. So the goats have no independence. They can't decide where they want to walk. That shepherd only decides where the goats are supposed to go. So he says the Lord is not like that. So he allows you. Okay, he says, okay, you want to do that? Okay, do it. Okay, so that is why he becomes the doer. In that sense, that it's only because of him that we are able to do even Ashastriya karma. Anything we are able to do because of him. Okay. Obviously, Kartrutva Buddhi Tyaga is not to be done when you do Ashastra karma. It is not that, because Kartrutva Buddhi Tyaga is part of Sattva Guna. And Satvika Tyaga means that you will not do Ashastra karma. Right? So you cannot say that I will do Ashastra karma and then I will have Kartrutva Buddhi Tyaga, that I am not the doer, Lord is the doer. No, that we cannot do. Kartrutva Buddhi Tyaga is part of Sattva Guna. And to be in Sattva Guna means to abide by Shastra perfectly. So abiding by Shastra perfectly, whatever we are doing, we understand that the Lord is only enabling us to do. So he is the doer. Like that. Right? So this is the understanding here. So I think that point is very clear. So this is the 15th verse. Okay, moving ahead to verse number 16. Right? Yeah. Tatrevam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tu yaha pashyanti akrita buddhitvan nasa pashyanti durmatihi. Thus, in any action where there is a combined effort of five actions as stated, however, the person who perceives only himself as the agent of action without requiring any assistance. Such a person is devoid of intellect, refined by the Vedanta, which teach about the nature of Jivatma and possess contrary knowledge and thus does not perceive at all. Okay, so Krishna is saying that, hey, look, all these five are there, and if suppose somebody thinks only he is the doer, then such a fellow, he has not understood Vedanta and he has contrary knowledge, Durmati, and he doesn't know, no pashyati, he doesn't perceive at all. Because somebody may say here that, even if you say if there are five factors for action, I am one of it. The Atma is one of the five. So can't I say 20% credit is for me? Okay, so that is why Krishna is saying Kevalam Atman. Okay, you may be 20%. You may be the servant who is pulling the chariot. King is there, other three servants are also there. You are one servant standing there. Okay. But Kevalam Atma. See, generally most people, they think that they are the doer. They kind of beat their chest and say that I did something. Okay, so which means that they have forgotten the Vedanta, because nobody can beat their chest and say I did something without forgetting this Vedanta knowledge. Then another thing the commentator adds here, he says that, see, actually, even if someone understands there are four causes for action, okay, let's leave Paramatma aside. Who are the four servants? The body, the Atma, the Karta, the senses, and endeavor. These four also, if one understands, that also means that the person is little advanced. Because he says most people, they think that they are the body. So they don't distinguish between the body and the karta. Okay, so only someone who has some Vedanta jnana understands that the karta is different from the body. So even, okay, let's leave the Paramatma aside for a minute, but even to understand that there are four causes of action is a great step indeed. Okay, so that itself is something amazing, right? So yeah, so with this, this topic is now about to end, and there is one last verse in this. So what is this whole topic? This whole topic was what is Tyaga, okay, and what and how we are not the doer. Krishna is the doer because of Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga. I should not think that I am the doer. Get puffed up. Right. So what is the Falashruti for it? See, there is a Falashruti na for anything. If you actually do Kartaratva Buddhi Tyaga, then what happens? Krishna speaks that in the 17th verse and ends this section. Beautiful verse again. Yasya naham krito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate atvapi sa iman loka nahanti na nibadhyate. The one who is clear in his mind that he alone is not the doer of the prescribed dharma, and the one who has intellect that has been defined with the knowledge that the results of the karma and the karma itself do not belong to him. Such a person, even if he kills in the battlefield, not only Bhishma and other warriors, but all embodied beings, he does not kill. And the resultant fruit of such killings does not acquire to him. Right? So what Krishna says, the beautiful verse, it has four parts to it. The Falashruti is given here. If you implement Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga in your life consciously, if you are always being aware that whatever I'm doing is not mine. It is, first of all, you have to be situated in Shastra Karma. And second thing, you have to understand everything is done by the Lord's mercy only. So actually, we see in our Indian culture, it is commonly said also. Like people say, sab Bhagavan ke karan hi hua hai. They say that, right? The Lord only did everything. Like that people say. Sometimes we may think that it is somebody is just saying something sentimentally, but if you see carefully, it is actually a deep-rooted consciousness, which people are encouraged to cultivate, and some people cultivate that as well. Because of which, even if they do anything nice, even though they are situated in Shastriya Karma, that means they are doing Satvika, they are situated in Sattva Guna, but whatever they are doing, they are not taking credit for it. They are always giving credit only to the Lord, saying that He only did everything for me. I didn't do anything. People genuinely say that. We have seen that actually in our, I mean, even simple people. I'm not necessarily talking about a sannyasi or a very great kind of famous preacher or something. When common people had this particular bhavana in their mind that I'm not the doer, the Lord is the doer. Right? So what is the phala? See, beautiful thing how Krishna presents. There are four lines here, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. First line is Tatrita Buddhi Tyaga. See, what is Krishna saying? Yasya naham krito bhavo. Ahankar, jiska ahankar nahi hai. Ahankar means what to think I am the doer is ahankar. Correct? Krishna has said that even in 3.27. Ahankar vimudatma karta aham iti manyate. We all remember that definition, right? 3.27 Bhagavad Gita. It's because of ahankar we think that I am the doer. Yasya naham krito bhavo. You don't have ahankar. Means what? That means you don't think that you are the doer of the Shastriya karma. Okay, you understand that Tatrita Buddhi Tyaga. You understand that it is only because of the Lord you are doing. That is the first thing. Because of that, what happens? The second thing that happens is Buddhir yasyane lipyate. Okay, his intellect is not entangled in the karma and the fruits of karma. That means what? From Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga comes Mamata Tyaga and that Phala Tyaga. See, Buddhir yasyane lipyate. Lipyate means like stickiness. You know, it doesn't stick to you. What doesn't stick to you? The karma doesn't stick to you, and the fruits of the karma also don't stick to you. So when you have Kartartva Buddhi Tyaga, then Mamata Tyaga and that Phala Tyaga is easy to achieve. So that is the second line. And then third line, look at the third line. Hatva Pisa Iman Logan. Krishna is saying, even if such a person kills the entire world, oh my God, this is like too much, right? Krishna is saying that even if you kill the entire world, not that. So Krishna is basically telling Arjuna, of course, this is very specific to Arjuna, because Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and Arjuna was thinking that if I kill Bhishma Drona, I will get entangled. Krishna is saying, Are, if you do in this Kartritva Buddhi Tyaga, Mamata Tyaga, Phala Tyaga, if you have this, and that means you work as my instrument, don't think you're fighting for your pleasure, fight for my pleasure. And the fruits of your karma, which is this war and your Kshatriya Dharma dedicated to me, then what will happen? You can kill the entire world. It's kind of a euphemism. Krishna is basically trying to say that not just Bhishma or Karna, you can kill as many people as the war may need you to kill. And we actually know Krishna killed so many, Arjuna killed so many, right, in the war. Okay, so such a beautiful Gita is so practical and beautiful. It's unfortunate that most of the people in India today, we understand Gita from a perspective of from the Gandhian thought. Right, recently we had October 2nd, right, Gandhi's birthday. And so surprising and so sad actually that people have understood Gita from a very Gandhian perspective, that Gita is for non-violence. Hey, what are you talking? Krishna is saying here you can kill the whole world. And it is so unfortunate that Gandhi took this book around and was promoting his own philosophy of impractical non-violence, where he was saying that even if some enemy comes to kill you, you don't kill back. You know, it's better that you die yourself rather than trying to kill. Such a useless philosophy he propagated with the Gita in the hand. See, that's more terrible because, right, if he said it is his own philosophy, it would have been fine. But unnecessarily, he brought the Gita in the middle. But here Krishna is saying, you kill the whole world, man. And still what will happen? Nahanti. You don't kill. Na nibadhyate. Na nibadhyate means what? You are not caught up. You are free. Okay, so see, so beautifully Krishna is summarizing what he spoke all the while. What is Tyaga? Correct? Tyaga basically means three Tyagas. Kartritra Buddhi, Tyaga, Mamata Tyaga, Phala Tyaga. And with this Tyaga, anything you do in the world, you are not caught up and you are not bound at all. You are free. So it's a beautiful verse actually. And if you see the logic here, first line, second line, third line, fourth line, it's very, very clear. First line leads to second line. And ultimately, the first line also leads to the third line. How? Because when you do with the Kartatva Buddhi Tyaga, then you can kill anybody, but you don't kill. That means you are not the doer, right? You are doing everything as an instrument of His. You are not the doer. And because you are not the doer, you are not going to get the consequence of, you are not going to be bound with this world. So this is how Sattvika Tyaga. In fact, Ramanujacharya emphasizes so much on this Sattvika Tyaga. He says everybody has to do all types of karma in this world as per Varnashrama, but they have to constantly do Sattvika Tyaga. Very consciously they have to do. Because the Sri Vaishnavas, before they start any ceremony, anything they do, even the morning Gayatri Jap that they do, they have to start with something called Sattvika Tyaga. They have to say, I'm doing all these Gayatri and all this stuff just as so that thing, these three type of tyagas. So like that, consciously they have to say it when they are doing any karma, marriage, anything they do, they have to say that. Okay, because this is Gita, where Krishna is saying that you do this tyaga bhava. In this tyaga bhava you do, you are not going to get bound. Don't worry about it. In this way, the first topic of the 18th chapter is now ended. So remember, Yamunacharya said 4 topics, right? The first topic of 18th chapter was what? Krishna is the doer. And that is just ended. Okay, how do we understand Krishna is the doer? Because of the 5 causes, all what we discussed before. Now we are coming to the second topic. What is the second topic? Stick to Sattva Guna. So how is this topic connected here? So this topic is connected here because we can be situated in Sattvika Tyaga. First thing is to understand Tyaga. Second thing is to understand Sattva Guna. Okay, then only Sattvika Tyaga comes. So Sattvika Tyaga, there are 2 words, right? So one is Tyaga, to understand 3 types of Tyaga. Another thing to understand Sattva Guna. Okay, so what is Sattva Guna? How to understand that Sattva Guna? Krishna starts speaking now, right? So now onwards, Krishna is moving to the second topic from Yamunacharya's perspective, which is about how to cultivate Sattva Guna. Let's have a look at that. Jnanam Nyayam Pariknyata Trivida Karma Chodana Karanam Karma Karteti Trivida Karma Sangraha. The Shastric injunctions to karma is made up of 3 parts. Jnana, knowledge regarding the karma to be performed. Nyayam, the object of knowledge, the karma to be undertaken. Pariknyata, the person who knows clearly the karma to be performed. As regards the karma itself, which is to be performed, it is made up of 3 parts. Karanam, the material required for performing the karma. Karma, the deed or the karma itself. And karta, the person who performs the karma. Okay, so, because Krishna has said, right, you have to do all types of karma. Nitya karma, nimittika karma, kamya karma. So when you say I have to do all types of karma, what are the things involved in karma? So broadly 3 things. First, the knowledge about karma. You have to have the right knowledge. Okay. Second thing is the karma itself. And third thing is the person doing the karma. The person who is supposed to know about it. So what Krishna does is first he talks about 3 things. And the middle one which is there now, the object of knowledge, nyayam, karma to be undertaken. That Krishna has divided further into 3 parts. Okay, so please try to understand. Krishna first spoke about 3 things, and the middle one he expanded into 3. So apparently it has become 6, but actually it is 5. Because the middle one, which is karma, that only has been expanded into 3. As what? Karanam, materials, karma itself, and the karta, like that 3. So actually it is 5. But in this 5 again, if you carefully see, karta and parijnata are same. Parijnata means one who knows about karma, and karta means one who does the karma. Both are referring to the Atma, person. Okay, because initially is the person who knows what is supposed to be done, and then he actually does it. So then that becomes 4. Okay, but then at the same time, that karanam and karma is also strongly connected, because without karanam you cannot do any karma. So then ultimately only 3 are there. That means knowledge, jnana, karma, and third thing is the karta. Okay, the karta only is the parijnata. Correct. So 3 things are there. So in anything that we do, first there has to be knowledge, the action itself, and the person who does. Okay, so now what happens is the 3 modes which are there. Somebody will say, "Arey, how are we going to talk about 3 modes?" Because when you say Sattva Guna, okay, the karma may be the same. Like for example, marriage. Okay, 10 people may be getting married. All are getting married only. Correct. All sometimes use the same mantra only to get married. But still, we will say somebody's marriage is in Sattva-guna, somebody is in Rajoguna, somebody is in Tamoguna. Why? Because of their understanding of these 3 things. Right? It's not the karma itself may not have a problem, but your understanding and your own thing gets added to that, because of which it gets flavored by a particular mode of nature. Anyway, let's not spend much time. Let's go ahead. Krishna is going to define. So today we're just going to take the first thing, Jnana. Okay, Jnanam Krishna defines in 3 verses in the 21, 20, 20, 20, 21 and 22. Okay, so in the 19th verse, Krishna again just summarizes what he has said till now. Look at what Krishna says. Jnanam karma cha karta cha trideva gunavedataha prochate guna sanga prochate guna sankhyane vetavacha chrinutanyapi. When considering the effects of Sattva, Rajo, and Tamo Guna in tune with the differences due to the gunas, it is explained that each of the following three, Jnana, the knowledge about karma, the karma to be performed, and Karta, the person who performs the karma, are classified into three types. According to the guna which predominates in each of them, listen attentively about these as well as they are in reality. Okay, so Krishna is now, he's just picking up from the previous verse. Previous verse he spoke about three, middle one he again made into three. Apparently he made six different things, but ultimately these things, six things are only three things. And what are those three things? Jnanam, knowledge; karma, action; karta, work. Okay, knowledge, action, work. Only three things are there in anything that we do in this world. Okay, Krishna has now classified them into the three modes and is asking us to listen attentively. Right, so we will just take one set, which is the Jnanam today. Sarvabhuteshu yenekam bhavam avyayamikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajnanam vidhi sattvika. Look at the 20th verse. That knowledge by which one perceives that in all the embodied bodies who possess diverse forms on account of difference in physique, complexion, class, station in life, etc., the Jivatma in each of such embodied beings are of the same essential nature, thus not possessing any of such differentiation and of exact same nature and imperishable, immutable in their essential nature, understand that such a knowledge is sattvic in nature. So Krishna is defining sattvika jnana. What is sattvika jnana? Sattvika jnana means when we understand that actually bhava, see the word bhava which is used here is actually referring to the jiva. Bhava here means one item. That means, so Ramanuja starts this whole commentary with an example, nice example. He says like a king sometimes sends a servant, then says minister, and he says that hey, go to all these villages and find out how many types of grains have been cultivated. So the person comes, the king's man, he comes, minister or whoever, and he finds out that the entire village has cultivated the same grain. He comes and reports to the king. Like, for example, they may have all grown rice, but let's say they all grew kolam rice or basmati rice or whatever. So the minister comes back and tells the king, my dear king, this entire village has only one grain they have cultivated. But does it mean only one grain? Literally one grain has been cultivated? No, that's not the point. That means the type of grain is the same in the entire village. Everybody has grown kolam rice only in this village. Or everybody in this village has grown only basmati rice. Same basmati that also. So he comes and reports to the king, there is only one type of rice in this entire village or in the set of villages. So like that Krishna is saying here. So one type of grain means, or one type of bhava means, the Atma is the same. Okay, there may be different Atmas, but it's all the same, one type. Just like another example he gives, like cows. They may be different color, but they give the same quality milk. And just like nowadays, because of this whole Balaji thing, in our temple community also, we are having this big discussion among our leadership about what to do about the milk, etc. Because this A2 milk which is there, right? It's something different, right? The milk of the ghee cows or whatever, it's all same. I mean, if there are 10 ghee cows giving milk, that milk is all of the same kind. The same quality ghee comes out of it. On the other hand, if you have Jersey cow, it all gives the same type of milk, that A1 milk. In fact, even the gobar which is there, it is said that the Jersey cow's gobar, that is polluting to the environment. Okay, but the Dechi cow's gobar is not. There's so many wonderful things to study. We are just discussing all these things. But the whole issue is that it is very limited in number because nobody is maintaining these. And so like that. So anyway, I'm using this as an example over here to say there may be 100 ghee cows. Their color all may be different. One may be black, one may be something the brown. There are different shades of brown as well. So they may be slightly different in the way they look, but the quality of the milk is all the same. Okay. So similarly, the bodies may be different of all the living entities, but the bhava is the same. Right? The bhava is the same. So when we understand, that means when prominently in our life, our jnana says that wherever we look, when we see anybody, we are able to see that, okay, this person is actually the Atma, he is not the body. If we are able to see that always, I mean, as in we are very easily able to see that and we don't forget it, it means our jnana is sattvika. Okay? Our jnana is sattvika. Okay, now Krishna says, what is Rajasika jnana? पृथक्त्वेन तु विज्ञानं नानाभावन् पृथक् विधान् वेति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानम् इति राजसम्. That knowledge which makes one perceive that in all embodied beings who are agents of karma, the individual jivatmas are different from each other on account of their station and class in life, with diverse characteristics, black or fair complexion, tall or short, thin or fat, and of different kinds due to the type of rewards they experience. Understand that such a knowledge which makes one ascribe to all such differences in Jivatma is Rajasic. So Rajasic means what? That means you see the body and say this is human. That means you identify the person as the body only. And when you identify person as the body, everybody is different, so everybody is different. The dog is different, the elephant is different, the man is different, the woman is different, everything. So you are not seeing the samatva. You are seeing only the differences. And the differences you are seeing because you are not seeing the Atma only. You are only seeing body. A simple thing, right? So because of that, your knowledge is Rajasa. So anybody who is operating like this, then anything he does is Rajasa. Okay, because his knowledge is Rajasa. So anything. So if anybody is thinking that the person is the body, then whatever he does, that is Rajasa. Because his knowledge is Rajasa. So that it has become contaminated with Rajoguna now. Like that. Right? And then we come to the last verse for today. Yattu Krishna Yattu Krishnavad ekasmin karye shaktam ahetukam atatvartavad alpam cha tat tamasam udahritam. However, that knowledge which drives one to be engrossed without any rational basis in karmas, which can yield very meager petty rewards, as though it can yield immeasurable benefits in full measure, and the karmas themselves are trivial by nature as they are meant to please ghost evil spirits, and it causes one to apprehend imaginary differences in jivatma. Such a knowledge is said to be tamasic in nature. Here some commentary is there, we need to look at it. We'll spend some time on this last verse. See, so Ramanuja starts by saying, see, as such the verse, it just, what does Krishna say? Krishna says ekasmin. One thing you do as all in all. Okay. Then that is tamasam. So he asks the question, what if somebody says the one thing I will do is nama sankirtan? Can you say it is tamasam? No, that's not the point. If you're doing nama sankirtan, this verse is not talking about that one thing being nama sankirtan. Ekasmin, just one thing I will do in life. No, it's not like that. Is not what the verse is talking. What the verse is talking is, he says, is about that karma which gives very low class fruit. That is there in the verse also. Alpam. You see this word alpam? Alpam means very, very trivial thing it is. Something low class. That means that work itself is one work, but that one work is some very low class thing. And that only you think as all in all. Okay. So what can that be? So he gives examples. Just like somebody is pleasing ghost, pishacha, bhuta, preta. That one thing only is involved in. Some tantric work, etc. Okay, so this Bhuta Preta is not there in the verse, but Ramanacharya gives such a commentary because of the context of this whole thing, right? The verse says Alpa and it is Tamasam. So basically, he has got these examples in order to tell, right? So, and there is no, so you're doing some very low class work, which is actually very, very meager, but you think that this is something very great. You think that this is the highest thing and only this you're engaged, so it is completely low class, then such a knowledge is said to be tamasic. Okay, so basically he says that, see, look, so I just give an example. I heard this recently from my astrology teacher. You know, in astrology there is one concept called as there are tantrics, right? So my teacher knew about this one person. So this person was a tantric astrologer. So what this person would do, he would manipulate karma of people. So one man had come to him. He wanted to get married to a particular lady. So he got the chart. So this astrologer looked at the chart and said that, "Arey, if you marry her, the same night of your marriage, you will die." So this person became very worried. He thought that, "Arey, I'm in love with her. I want to marry her, and my teacher is, my astrologer is saying that on the same day I will die." So what this fellow did, he still got married, okay, in Chennai or somewhere. And the day of marriage, immediately by car, he immediately came to the astrologer. He told him, "I'll come to you on that day or day of the marriage." So the astrologer, he was a tantric, so he knew some vidhi to transfer karma, something very amazing. So what this astrologer told him, see, you have to die, but there is a way in which we can solve this problem. So he said, what you do, the day of your marriage itself, you come to me, you bring very costly gifts. You bring a very good silk dhoti, silk dress, silk sari, lot of gold. All this you should bring. And the astrologer said, what I will do is, I will bring a old couple from this village. Okay, in that village there was an old man and his wife, some 75-year-old people. I will bring them, and all these gifts we have to give it to them. And I will do a vidhi by which the karma from you I will put it to them. So this fellow also agreed. He married whoever he wanted to. He came running back the same day of marriage. And this tantric, he said that, okay, then he did the vidhi and he got the 75-year-old man and his wife. And they gave all the gifts. And he told that old man and woman, you have to wear all these things at home today only. Tonight only you have to wear it. They were poor people in the village. So they thought that, Array, we have never had such nice gifts. So much gold, such silk clothes, and so many gifts we got. So the astrologer also sent one person, this tantric, he sent one person behind to see whether they are actually wearing all the clothes. So this old man and woman went to their home, they immediately changed, they wore all this fantastic jewelry and silk clothes, and they were sitting. That night, the old man died. Okay, and when the old man died, this tantric was happy that his method actually worked. And he told the couple, now you don't worry, the young couple who got married, your karma I have already given them, so you can be peaceful. Okay, he did this. But my teacher then told me another thing. Because he did this tantric, and he did many such things in life, later in life it seems he suffered a lot, this tantric. He had several diseases in his body by which he could not even open his mouth to eat food properly. His mouth was always open, and prematurely he actually died. The fellow is dead already. This tantric, he passed away some years ago. So my teacher knew him and whatever he did. So this is a very classic example, of you are doing tamasa karma. See, this is shastra karma. This is all there in shastra. Okay, but all the shastra karma, even if it is in shastra, it will bring consequences. It is tamasic, na? You are trying to do all this tantra and use various spirits and this and that to get some things done. Okay, then ultimately the result is very meager. See, it's a meager as in, okay, something you did, but then you have invited terrible suffering on yourself by doing such things. Okay, so this is how. So anyway, coming back to this verse, Krishna is saying that you do some very meager thing. So Ramanuja completes this commentary by saying, see, there are three parameters. Is Atma seen as one or different? What does he desire as fruit? Does he does one karma or a different karma? So three things. And there is Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. So you can make a table. In the row, you can have three rows. Atma, one or different. What do you desire? And one karma or many karma. And on top, we can write Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Sattvagun, what he does? His Atma is one. Okay. And what is his goal? Moksha is his goal. And what karma he does? He does all Shastra karma in Sattva like that. Rajoguna fellow, he sees Atma as different. That means he sees Atma now for him, everybody is a different thing. He doesn't see anything like Atma. He just sees every person is different. What does he desire? He desires all types of food. He doesn't want moksha. And what does he do? He also does all types of karma. Rajoguna. Tamoguna fellow, what happens? He sees Atma again as different. What does he desire as fruit? He desires something very low class only as fruit. And he does only one lowly thing. The most lowest thing in the Shastra which is there, some tantric stuff, some pleasing ghost and spirit, that only he will take in people. So like this. So in this way, we end today's discussion with this. Anybody has any questions, then we can take. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Anybody with any question here?
Yeah, may I ask, Prabhuji?
Go ahead.
Okay, so generally it is said that there are a lot of immediate ways, or we can say Krishna is only remote, remotely he is controlling things, or he has made this world in such a way that things are taking place on its own. That's how the atheist also consider that, nature does everything. And if somebody is born with a defective body, then they say that it's just a chemical reaction. So sometimes chemical reaction go, in a different manner. There is an error in that chemical reaction, and the person becomes, with half a leg or half a hand or whatever. So there is some kind of automatic working of this world. But you gave example of that king, that if he is coming and he is inaugurating something, then we only say that the king did it or this and that. But uh, the direct connect of Krishna, do we have in this world?
Prabhuji, the material nature is functioning under his direction only, na? So, for example, if somebody is having a genetic fault, let us say due to which he has some particular type of disease in his body, that genetic fault we are seeing from a scientific perspective. That is fine. But then that genetic fault in the body is ultimately controlled by Ishvara only, na? Because the body is also his servant, independent of us. Okay, see, we are the Atma, separate, without. The body itself is under his control only, na? It is material nature. So that material nature has been given this genetic fault or whatever we see from a scientific lens. It is because of his sanction only it has happened. He is only ultimately like that.
Correct. And how come we only understand this by Anuman, or we understand by Shastra? Yes, we never see Krishna being, in the controlling position. For example, once you were mentioning that after you reach a certain stage, then everything becomes pratyaksha to you, rather than just being in the Anuman.
See, Ramanuja and all commentators have always said material things, matter you can understand by pratyaksha. The Atma you can understand by Anumana, but Ishvara can be understood only by Shabda. So there is Achit, Chit, and Paramatma, right? Three entities: matter, spirit, and supersoul. Okay, matter can
Okay.
be understood by pratyaksha. See, in matter we shouldn't bring matter should be understood by pratyaksha praman. Okay, you cannot bring Anubana or Shabda and say that no, it is like that. No, if this milk is contaminated, it is contaminated. Laddu mein problem hai, ghee mein to problem hai. You cannot say no, you should have faith. Temple is giving this laddu. Arey, who cares for your Shabda praman? Pratyaksha praman mein problem hai na, it is matter. But Paramatma is understood only by Veda. But Paramatma, you may personally realize the Paramatma in your life. But that is your subjective pratyaksha. That is not pratyaksha from the sense of, mundane senses. You understand the point? That means a self-realized person, for him, Paramatma is a reality like anything else. But then that he only can see. Others cannot see that. So that is like a private pratyaksha, you can say. As in, he only has realized it. You get it, na? But the knowledge of that comes from Shabda Praman, like that.
Correct. Now, why I'm asking this, Proji, because many times, let us say, some reincarnation thing has come up. So, those who are rationalists, they say that, okay, even if we accept your proposition that it had happened in particular case, you are trying to say that it happens in all the cases. That is very,
Nee, that is why Prabhuji, for Atma, the proof is Anumana Praman. See, it is Anumana only. See, in Anumana, you don't have to show at every step. See, there are almost there are 100 books about reincarnation today. There are several thousand, there are almost 10,000 cases they say in the world in the last 50 to 80 years of reincarnation. That's not a small number. 10,000 is not a small number. Okay, it may be a very small number compared to 15, 20 billion people who may have lived in the last century. But by itself, you know, there are several thousand children who have seen this. So by Anumana, we can understand. Reincarnation is one example of Anumana. There are many things in Anumana. Na? So Anumana only can help you understand the Atma. So like,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. And what did you say about Prabhuji Sattvic, Sattvic karma? How do we understand sattva?
yeah, so Sattvic karma means every aspect of ours has to have Sattva. The first aspect Krishna spoke, which we discussed today, is knowledge. And that knowledge to be very consciously aware that every person is a Jivatma. That is knowledge. Other things will come later.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else with any question? Okay, there's nothing we can add. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki